Hi friends, it's Terry from Vig's Test Creates, back with another crafty video for you. So I'm continuing with my adventures with getting used to my new Copic markers. I recently bought in the Craft Stash sale these absolutely adorable dragon stamps from Lee Holland. They're absolutely adorable and they were 55% off, so I ended up paying like £3 something each for them. So yesterday I coloured up this little cutie, and I took inspiration from the packaging, where it looks to me like the designer has used a colourless blender pen to add some dots and some texture and interest, and I really like the look of that. And also because the little dragon is holding a flower, it sort of implies that there might be rain. So I decided to sort of do the same kind of thing and just try out a few dots with the colourless blender on the dragon, which I think has given such a lovely effect. And also on the flower as well. I created the grass by blending some of the greens together that I chose, and then I'm to finish this off. I'm going to use a cloud stencil. I'm going to stamp this image onto a mask and then put the mask over, and then I'm going to use some distress oxide and my cloud stencil to create some clouds. I also started colouring up this image yesterday using the colours RV21, RV23, and then I thought I wanted some more contrast, so I went in with a slightly darker colour, RV13. I've also just gently rubbed over with a colourless blender on the areas that I felt would be particularly highlighted. So yeah, so I'm quite pleased with the way that one's coming along. Again, with this one, I picked out, because I'm still getting used to the Copic colours, you see. I picked up G000 and G00 and coloured the present and the lid. But again, I felt there wasn't enough contrast, so I then picked up G02 or G02 and just did gentle flicking motions in the darkest area, so around the edges, underneath the lip of the lid, and then blended that out with the other two markers, and I think that looks much better. So I'm going to do the same with that and then colour in the flowers. And then I think what I'm going to do with this one is extend the line, which I also intend to do with that. Extend the line and then just do a bit of colour underneath, and then just leave the background white for that one, or maybe just do a bit of ink blending in the background just for a bit of interest. I also wanted to show you that this is what I've done. Now, I got this tip from Kathy Zilski. I watched a YouTube video where she used a tag stamp and specific dies to cut these perfect little rectangles to swatch out all of her markers so that she could see straight away what she had and what she didn't have, and to sort of look and see, oh, well, which colours might go together. So I didn't have that set, but I knew that I had a lovely size tag, and this is from one of my Helen Griffin album making die sets. I think it's the Landscape Album Editions die set. And then these are strips that I cut down myself, which are about 1/2 inch wide and 2 inches long. So I just did those with my Tim Holtz mini trimmer, and I've swatched out all of my colours. I've now got Copic Chow Set A and Set B because there was an offer on the other day, so I bought Set B as well. So I thought I would just do a little brief bit of colouring of this lid to show you for anyone that's interested. If you're not interested in that and you just want to see the final cards, then you can fast forward, and I'll put the number of minutes in the description box below so that you can fast forward to that number. So to do the lid, first of all, I find I like to work with all three of them in my hand so I can just move between them. So this would have shadow because it's got things above it. And then blend that out. Oh, I've gone over the lines, guys. That's all right. That's what our colourless blender's for. I also decided with this one to leave just the very middle bit white. Any bits that look like there's still too much of a harsh line, I'll go over again. I want a nice smooth blend on this. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. And just in case you haven't seen the magic of the colourless blender, we simply go over it and it pushes the colour through to the back of the cardstock, and you can usually pretty much get rid of the entire mistake so you don't even see it. It's just like a rubber or an eraser for alcohol markers. You can see it's pushed that through. Usually wait for it to dry and then go over it if it needs it anymore. But I'm quite pleased with that. I've also got this other image, actually, so this is probably useful to tell you about. This is the one I started colouring before this one, and I wasn't happy with the colour choices I'd chosen. I wanted more contrast, so I bought in a darker colour, but it ended up being too dark, and I couldn't see any highlights at all. So what I did was I just completely saturated all of this with colourless blender, and as you can see, it's pulled out or pushed through a lot of the colour. So I'm just, with this, I'm hoping that I can still save it by going in with the lightest pink and just going over these bits, because it had gone sort of a weird orangey colour and then like a dark colour, and I just wasn't happy at all. So we shall see. So this one, fingers crossed, can be saved. But yep, I'll see you back in a moment with the finished cards. Hello again, my friends. So here we are with the 4 completed cards. So here's the first little card. They're all American size A2, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and they're side opening cards. This one, obviously, it's all coloured in my Copic markers, and then I created a mask using some masking paper, just stamped onto it and then cut around it. Covered up the little guy and his presents, or lady, and then just used a blending brush with mustard seed distress oxide, and then I cut well, I did 4. I've done them all in the same format, so I cut the black mats to be 1/4 of an inch shorter on each side than the actual card, and again a bit smaller on each side for the actual panel. So that's the first one. Hold it up so you can see it in all its glory. Quite pleased with the way that one turned out. So I'm just trying to get used to my copics at the moment, having been used to using Illustrator's Spectrum Noir Illustrator markers and Ultra New Artist markers. I've just noticed, and this is a good chance to show you a little tip, so I've gone over the lines a little bit here. If you just use a black fine liner, boom, it's gone. So there we go. So that's the first one. And then the second one, this is the one that I thought I'd ruined because I didn't like the colours on the dragon. But I just blasted the whole of, well, pretty much the whole of the dragon in my colourless blending marker, which really lightened up the middle bits, and I was much happier with that. And then again I used the colourless blender pen to add dots all around. I've done that on all of them, I think, for scales, and I also went over this one in a bit of white pencil crayon, Prismacolor pencil crayon. Again, I used the mask and I used Kitsch Flamingo Distress Oxide. Originally I was just going to do a halo like this, but then I sort of expanded and covered the whole area, and then when I took the mask off I thought it looks a bit weird, so I decided to cover the whole panel but lighter around the edges, and then I actually made use of the distress function of the oxide, so I just sort of put a piece of paper over each side strategically and then just sprayed on some water using just a regular cheap spray bottle. So again, similar but different. The third one is obviously the other design. So this is the first card that I coloured. For this one and the next card, I used my Cloudy Day stencil from Clearly Besotted. And I just love this one. I just think he's gorgeous. I don't know, I love all different colours, but I think like a little green dragon is just adorable. And every single time I use this cloud stencil, I just love it even more. It's just such a simple thing, but I just love the effect of making a sky background using the Distress Oxide in tumbled glass and the cloud stencil. So it was great. Again, I cut myself a mask for this one and did that. And then the final one is this little cutie. Again, I really like him or her for their colours, because you guys know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, that I'm all about the teals and aquas and purples and stuff. Yeah, so I coloured this in the same way. The only thing I did differently with this is I took a slightly darker shade of teal and did a few dots, as well as the removing the ink to make the scales with this one. And because for some reason I started at the bottom of the page doing the inking instead of the top, so it works from the top down with the stencils. As you can see, like that to me looks much better than that. So I don't know why I started at the bottom, but what I did to fix it was, I don't know if you can see in the light there, I used some white pigment ink, so I just went back in over the top of, because it was just too blue. I think it was because I didn't want to go all the way down to the bottom with clouds. I wanted to try something different, but it just didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. So I just went in with that white pigment ink, which you can see here is picked up by the camera. Not too sure how much I love the red flower. It might have looked nice in the same sort of colours as this, but overall, I'm pleased with all 4 of these cards. Yeah, I mean, dragons, magical things, love it. So I hope you do too. Or even if you're not into magical creatures, that you like my cards and the composition, etc. Maybe you've picked up some tips. It'd be great to hear from you. Any comments at all that you want to make, just leave them in the comment section below and I will always get back to you. And that's all from me today. So I'll see and speak to you soon with some more lovely card inspirational goodness. Bye for now.